I'll start probably like every coach that's been up here. We're excited, anxious, looking forward to playing this game tomorrow against a very good Northern Colorado team. I'm sure our players conveyed that same excitement and enthusiasm. We are appreciative of the fact that we're relatively close to home, and hopefully we will have a lot of San Diego State Aztec fans here to cheer us on. 32-2, we've got a good team, you know that. We went back-to-back to win our conference tournament championship, and we're playing really good basketball right now, and hopefully we can continue to do that. I'll entertain any questions that you might have.
Right here in the center.
Mick McGrain, Mountain West Conference. Steve, nobody's bigger than the team, but the way Billy's played in the last 4 games, I wondered if you could talk about that a little bit and how crucial that's going to be in the next how many games you got left.
Billy had probably his finest hour in the Mountain West Conference tournament, going back home. He's played good basketball for us for 4 years. He has not been as consistent as he was in that tournament run. What Billy brings to us is the length to guard anybody on the floor, from the point guard to a post player. And when he is aggressive as he was in that tournament, he had 7 offensive rebounds in the last game. That's more than he had in the last 10 games put together. So we're hopeful that he will continue to play that way. When he does, obviously we're better.
Okay, right here in the center.
Hey, Steve. Nick Canepa from Union Tribune in San Diego. Do you bring up the past at all to your teams? I mean, you've been to tournament games here and haven't won. Do you remind them that you haven't won a game in the tournament, or do you just skip it all together and say we concentrate on what we've got going on here now?
Nick, one thing that I told our team yesterday was one team will get their first win ever in NCAA tournament play. One team will. We want it to be us. What we have talked about is Northern Colorado in January of 2008 when they came to our building and beat us 62-56, and then the following December of 2008 we went back to their place and we won a very hard-fought, close basketball game. We showed them a little bit of that tape from both of those games, and I think that, as much as anything, helps us prepare for our first game. They're well aware of the fact that San Diego State has never won a tournament game, NCAA Division I. I like the fact that we've got a group that played last year in the tournament. I've never had that privilege at San Diego State. We went 3 times before, 2, 6, and 10. And now we're going again in 11. So that feels good to be back-to-back with a lot of guys that played for us.
Start there with the striped shirt.
John Weisbarth, Channel 4 San Diego. What specifically about having played in the tournament with this group of guys last year do you think helps them this year?
I think everything from this, from our players being up in this forum, to the mandated open practice for 40 minutes, to the fact that it is the NCAA tournament. You grow up, and if you are a basketball player, this is what you look forward to when you're in grade school watching. You call in sick. You tell your mom to call you in sick so you can watch some of those early games. As you get into college, you aspire to play in it. The first time you play, I do believe that you're a little extra nervous. We were like that last year, and it took us too long for that to wear off. Hopefully we will be better prepared because of all of that that I just talked about as we prepare for this game tomorrow.
Okay, down here on the right.
Hi, Steve. John Howard from the CBS in San Diego. We talked a little bit with the guys about what the atmosphere was like when they were freshmen, but take us back a little bit further over your span there and how this crowd and how the show has developed, and at what point did it really become, you've called it this year, there's no better crowd anywhere in the country. At what point did it reach that, and what was it like when you first took the job?
Well, I'll go last first. We sold out every game in our building this year with the exception of one. That's 12,414. It was a hard ticket. You saw it. We had people standing ready to rush the gate to get in to get the prime seats. 12 years ago, you could mosey in any time you wanted and pick any seats you wanted. So it's 180. But this is not the first year, and you know this, being local, that we've had good crowds. This is the best. This is the apex of what we've had. But we've had 20-plus wins for 6 straight years. Last year we averaged, I believe, 8,500, 9,000 for conference games, which is pretty good. But this is what happens at very few schools. What happened to us this year. I don't care where you are, there are not very many schools that sell out every game all season long. And we did this year.
Okay, all the way in the back, and then we'll come to Ryan.
Hi, Steve. Jeff Passan with Yahoo Sports. There's been a lot of buzz this week about the Fab Five movie and what was said in there. How did you feel that team and that era were portrayed, and how do your current kids respond to that? Do you think there's actually a high level of interest, even 20 years later, among basketball players about that team?
I watched it like a lot of folks did. I got a rough copy of it. I watched it Wednesday before we played Thursday in the Mountain West Conference tournament. I smiled, brought back a lot of memories. I enjoyed it. I thought it was a good portrayal of who they were, what happened. Our kids found out that we had a copy when we bust home after the game, and they wanted to watch it. So they all watched it, and they enjoyed it. I do think that they'd heard a lot about it, but most of them weren't born when the Fab Five were playing. But they had fun with it. They ribbed both myself and Brian Dutcher about how we looked then and how we look now and all of that stuff. So it was fun.
Ryan?
Coach, Ryan Finley, Arizona Daily Star here in Tucson. Kawhi was showing us his hands about 10 minutes ago. He said that it's about 10 inches. What does that enable him to do on the basketball court?
Get every ball he touches. He's got huge hands. He's as good an offensive rebounder as there is, and I know Morehead State's got maybe the best statistically one. But Kawhi pursues every ball, offensively and defensively. It's just not good fortune. He pursues the ball. But because of his length, his strength, and his hand size, if he gets a mitt on it, he gets most of them. And I think that's evident not only by looking at him, but by watching him play a little bit.
Okay, all the way in the back over there.
George Severikas, KVOA here in Tucson. Coach, sorry to bring up another Fab Five question, but just wanted to get your memories of bringing that Michigan team here to McHale back in 1993.
I can't recall any of that at all. Not one thing. As we got torched by about 50. You didn't have to bring that up. And Jalen doesn't want to bring it up either.
Oh, I'm sorry, right here.
Coach Samuel G. Mastari, the Gritty Tribune. Can you be a little more specific on what you expect to see from Northern Colorado? You talked in your Monday press conference about Devin Beitzel, and will it be likely that Billy will get the call to cover him?
I'm not sure who will guard him to start with, but they move him around. A lot of people will guard him during the course of the game. This is a team that's very confident. As you know, they've won 7 in a row, 9 out of 11, and 19 out of 22. They're good. They're a good team in every facet of the game. They're well coached. They're a very, very good rebounding team. They hit you first. They run. And they're not afraid to quick shoot it. Got 4 or 5 guys. If you give them an inch, they're going to shoot the 3, and not just Beitzel. So they present a big challenge for us. You know, I know that some people have equated Beitzel to Jimmer Fredette. I think their team is a little bit like BYU. BYU sends kids on missions. Northern Colorado has redshirted 3 of the 4 seniors are redshirts, and the sophomore point guard is a redshirt sophomore. So they're older than us at every position. They're a veteran team. They won 25 games last year, and they will be confident coming in. I got great respect for them. I did when Tad Boyle was coaching them, and I do now when Coach Hill is here. He's done a marvelous job they're not surprised that they're here. And we're not surprised that they're here either.
Okay, over here on the right.
Coach Ben Higgins, KGTV. You've told your team all season long to stop and enjoy the wins, enjoy the rankings while focusing on business. Can you enjoy the NCAA tournament while it's going on and not get distracted by all of this?
Well, we're working now. We got no time to enjoy. We're here. We're working. We're in a 2-game tournament. That's how we have viewed it. And you have to minimize distractions and try to make it as normal and as routine as it can be. The 40-minute open forum is atypical for all of us. So you need to make sure that you don't have an advantage turn into a disadvantage. We were so excited when we got to come to Tucson. It's a 5-hour car ride, it's an hour plane ride, but also it's a 5-hour drive and an hour plane ride, so we're going to have a lot of people milling around, going around, wanting tickets, wanting to be around, and we cannot allow that to cause any kind of distraction on what we need to do, and that's find a way to beat a very good Northern Colorado team.
Ryan.
Ryan Finley, Arizona Daily Star. Coach, I know it's been 18 years or so. Do you remember, what do you remember about that Jimmy King tip-in game here against UCLA?
I remember that we were behind 19 points in the first half, and if Chris Webber hadn't played like the number 1 player in the draft like he was, we would have had no chance. We were very fortunate to be in the game at halftime. We made a couple buckets at the end of the half to come back, and then we had good fortune. We had good fortune in that game. UCLA had a chance to win on a breakaway layup, and again, Jimmy King came from behind, knocked the ball out of bounds, or we go home before he has a chance to tip in Jalen Rose's missed shot to allow us to win. You have to get a little bit lucky. If you're going to advance, you have to play well, you have to have a good team, but you also have to have good fortune along the way. And obviously for us in that game, we got good fortune coupled with good play to allow us an opportunity to win at the end.
All the way on the left.
Doug Heiler, Arizona Republic. Steve, given the way this program struggled before your arrival, did anyone try to tell you that elevating this program to where it is now just wasn't going to be possible?
I didn't listen to anybody other than my wife when I went looking at this job. I felt that from the city to the university to the brick and mortar to our arena, and some of you have been in our building, we've got a really, really beautiful state-of-the-art arena. I said, why can't we be good? I knew that other good coaches had been there, guys with resumes that had been there and had struggled, but they didn't have the luxury until right at the end of Fred Trinkle's tenure of having that building. So I had an advantage over the others. And then we said, we love the kids that we have, but we've got to get better players. So we went out and worked hard on the recruiting trail, which is what everybody has to do if you're going to get good. And we got good, and now we've gotten real good.
We have time for one more question right here.
Mark Ziegler, San Diego Union Tribune. Some of the Temple players were up here earlier talking about, commenting about how everyone is asking them about how they've never won the NCAA tournament, and they're worried about whether they're going to break that streak, or instead of talking about their 25-win season. And you guys are maybe in a little bit of the same position. Does it bother you that so much emphasis by the public is placed on what you do in this tournament, and that if you don't get to a certain point in this tournament, the 32-win season won't be considered as much of a success?
It's the way it is with everybody, Mark. Everybody in the tournament will be judged with a double exclamation point if they've had a great season by what they do in the tournament. It won't. Whatever happens to us in the tournament will not take away from a great regular season. 32 wins, 2 losses, both to BYU. That's there. That's part of our resume. And yet, people remember those that advance. People remember those that get into the NCAA tournament and find a way to win. And that's our goal. We're no different than Northern Colorado or anybody playing in it. We're excited. We expect to win, they do too. It'll be bitter disappointment for whatever team doesn't advance from our game on Thursday, and ourselves included. But it won't take away from what we've done in our regular season.